ESPN provides new estimated date for Caitlin Clark's return to Fever. The Indiana Fever have remained hopeful that superstar guard Caitlin Clark will be able to return at some point this season. While she was not able to get back on the court for Tuesday's matchup against the Phoenix Mercury, there are still 3 more games left on the schedule in the regular season. At this point, the Fever still have a shot at getting into the WNBA playoffs. If that were to happen, it would give Clark a little bit more time to make her return. While the questions continue to come up about whether or not she'll be back this season, Indiana has remained relatively quiet. As shared by ESPN, head coach Stephanie White shared that Clark has yet to practice against contact. Read more. Fever star Lexi Hull shares Black Eyes update after collision in WNBA game. Is there a potential date in mind that Clark could return? That hasn't been officially revealed. However, ESPN has taken a stab at predicting her return date. Caitlin Clark, number 22 of the Indiana Fever, reacts on the bench in the second quarter against the Seattle Storm at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on August 26, 2025. Read more. Photo by Dylan Buell. Getty Images. Photo by Dylan Buell. Getty Images. According to their WNBA injury page, they have Clark's projected return date as September 7th. If that were to become a reality, she would return in the second-to-last game of the season against the Washington Mystics. Of course, that is far from an inside source. It's just a suggested date that could make sense for Clark's return. Clark has only played in 13 games this season. Even when she was on the court, she was clearly dealing with injury issues that limited her ability to produce at her normal level. She averaged 16.5 points per game to go along with 8.8 assists, 5 rebounds, and 1.6 steals. In addition, she shot 36.7% from the floor and 27.9% from three-point range. Even though the Fever could get into the playoffs, bringing Clark back might not be a wise decision. There are 3 players, including Sophie Cunningham, who are out for the season due to injuries. Could Indiana even compete with so many injuries? Read more. Kiki Rice picks between Paige Bueckers, Sonia Citron for WNBA Rookie of the Year. It's possible, but the Fever needs to be very cautious with Clark and allow her to get back to 100% full health before stepping foot on the basketball court. Should the worst-case scenario end up being reality, Clark would sit out until the start of next season. Hopefully, she would be able to stay healthy for all of next season. Expect to hear more news about Clark's status in the near future. For now, September 7 is a hopeful date to keep an eye on. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk's memorial service at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, has drawn big crowds and bigger names from the music industry who have performed in the run-up to the commencement of service and speeches. The 31-year-old was assassinated on Wednesday, September 10th, while speaking at Utah Valley University. The suspected shooter, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, was taken into custody 2 days later. Contemporary Christian music artists have taken the stage as early as 7 a.m. local time and performed over the following hours as thousands filtered into the stadium, which is the home of the Arizona Cardinals football team. According to the Fight for Charlie website, performers include Brandon Lake, Chris Tomlin, Phil Wickham, Cody Cons, and Kari Jobe Cons. Other names who will perform during the service include President Donald Trump's longtime favorite Lee Greenwood, singer of God Bless the USA, as well as Steve Amerson. Where will Charlie Kirk be buried? The memorial service is being held in Glendale, but Kirk will be laid to rest in Phoenix, which has been described as his adoptive hometown. His body has remained in the Hansen Mortuary Chapel since Vice President J.D. Vance escorted it back from Utah on September 11th. There is no official information as to whether Kirk's funeral will have an open casket. Sunday's 31-14 loss to the Chicago Bears was a game most Cowboys fans would like to forget, not only because of the lopsided final score but because of what happened to 2 of the team's biggest stars during. With the game out of reach in the fourth quarter, quarterback Dak Prescott was benched in favor of second-year signal caller Joe Milton after throwing 2 interceptions and leading the Cowboys to just 1 touchdown and 2 field goals on 9 drives. But even more disappointing than Prescott's performance was the fact that star wide receiver CeeDee Lamb exited in the first quarter after suffering an apparent ankle injury. More NFL. 49ers Kyle Shanahan reveals concerning details about Nick Bosa's injury. Sunday's game marked the first time in his NFL career he finished without a target, and it's just the second time he didn't record at least 1 reception. The $136 million wideout is set to undergo an MRI on Monday, and an official injury diagnosis will likely come shortly after that. More NFL. Buccaneers announced troubling Mike Evans update after win over Jets. CeeDee Lamb, number 88 of the Dallas Cowboys, looks on during the second half of an NFL football game against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field on September 21, 2025 in Chicago, Illinois. Todd Rosenberg, Getty Images. More NFL. Steelers Tyreek Hill trade rumors get major update. While many of the sports doctors on social media predict Lamb to miss anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks because of his injury, the star wideout told reporters after the game that he's actually optimistic he can play next week against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. "Yeah, this is like protect me from myself type of deals," Lamb told reporters. "So, once I start feeling much better and I start to get the strength back in my ankle as far as mobility and able to cut and like real dynamic movements, I was ready to go back out there, but then they told me not to."